someone that can just turn the lights out, just flip them off.
It's his club and his money, and he's got to make those decisions.
Jones muttered something about firing Johnson.
On an off-the-record basis.
Off the record, does that mean that you're going to lie?
Oh, y'all, stay your asses out.
I'm not going to resign without a job.
It's an unsafe conditions, unsafe situation. Ah, your ass is back.
Turn the lights out, just flip them off.
Welcome to ESPN Classic SportsCenter Flashback. I'm Mike Tirico. March 29th, 1994, the final episode of the tumultuous Jimmy and Jerry Show, the NFL's soap opera in Dallas. Remember back 5 years earlier, almost to the day, Jerry Jones had purchased the Cowboys from Bum Bright and shook up the football world by dismissing legendary head coach Tom Landry, replacing him with Jimmy Johnson, Jerry's college teammate at Arkansas. This began another amazing chapter for America's team, a chapter that will be remembered as much for the remarkable rebuilding of the Cowboys as for the ongoing power struggle between owner and coach.
The thought of replacing Tom Landry, Mount Landry, the hallowed coach, with this rootin' tootin' gunslinging, lacquered-haired Jimmy Johnson was just inconceivable to people in Dallas, Texas.
I remember a lot of executives in this league laughing at the Jerry Jones, Jimmy Johnson entry, saying, these guys will be around 2 or 3 years, and then, forget it.
Jimmy came in and just cleaned house. The Danny Whites, the Too Tall Joneses, all the old Cowboys just axed unceremoniously.
They were both risk takers. It took a risk taker to trade a Herschel Walker, who was the only productive player in that Dallas organization.
I know my first year, here, we win one game, and I'd go up to that press conference after a ball game, and I'd just kind of be moaning and groaning and say, well, I think we're making some progress. And every single week, Frank Lux, who one of the writers there, Frank would look up and says, where is the progress?
Our guys are young, but they're growing up in a hurry.
Cowboys are back on top of the mountain now. They were there in the 70s, fell off in the 80s. They're back on top now, and they should stay there a while. Wow.
Through the second Super Bowl season, the relationship had deteriorated almost beyond repair. Open shouting matches, Jimmy humiliating Jerry in front of staffers, saying, get the hell out of my sight. I don't want you interfering. I don't want you meddling with my front office work.
A lot of people had a misconception. They looked at it as being a, quote, friendship.
I think that Jimmy Johnson and I are friends, close friends, confidants, no.
Could you fire Jimmy?
Well, of course I have the relationship with him that that's my job, and yes, I could.
I know eventually where I'll be. Eventually I'll be on a beach somewhere relaxing, but when that day comes, I don't know.
Discontent surfaced on the eve of the Cowboys' overtime victory against the Giants, clinching the '93 NFC East title.
The day before the game, Jerry was furious that Jimmy went on the record as saying he was, quote, interested in an opportunity to potentially coach the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was the first incident of major proportion between the two.
Despite the intensified dissension, the team marched through the NFC playoffs with double-digit wins over Green Bay and San Francisco, sending the Cowboys back to their second straight Super Bowl.
This week, I'm not going to say a word, but I will say one thing right now. How about them Cowboys?
Who's most responsible for the Dallas Cowboys being in their second straight Super Bowl? Is it Jerry Jones or Jimmy Johnson?
I can answer that without a blink. I think Jimmy Johnson. Whatever credit they want to give him, I'll add that much more on top of it. I'd like to think that me adding a little on top of it gives me a little something to do with it, too.
At times, he wants recognition as a football man, and because the recognition that he receives as a businessman probably is not as important to him.
Do you think Jimmy has given you enough credit for where this team is today?
I really don't have to think about that because there is someone that can just turn the lights out, just flip them off or flip them on. And we all know in any world, that's who owns the team.
Jimmy and Jerry, Jerry and Jimmy, like parallel lines, apart yet together.
I actually think the relationship is better now than what it was 2 or 3 years ago.
But there still were glimmers of the relationship at its worst. Week 18, Jimmy Johnson says he's interested in running the new Jacksonville team, and it escalates into ego-clashing one-upsmanship over who really runs the Cowboys.
I sat in a chair, asked you about Jacksonville a couple of weeks ago.
You stirred up a lot of stuff.
You stirred up a lot of stuff.
We're talking about Jimmy Jaguar now.
If somebody in Jacksonville or somebody came to you and wanted to talk to your coach, would you allow them to talk to your coach?
No.
Do you think it can really sustain the remainder of this contract? Do you really think it's going to work for 5 more years?
I don't know.
The Cowboys whipped the Bills again. Number 22 won the Super Bowl MVP, rushing 30 times for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. But for Jimmy and Jerry, the euphoria of back-to-back Super Bowl victories would soon vanish. Just 7 weeks later, at the NFL owners' meetings, the Jones-Johnson saga got nasty.
He's in the garage.
If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place? Hey, what does this do?
Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Stop. Go. Pennzoil. And now with Gum Out Extra, you can drive your fuel injectors clean in 1 tank full.
Thinking about hair loss? Now there are effective FDA-approved treatments for men's hair loss. The sooner you make an appointment to see your doctor, the better. Or call 1-800-73-MERC to find out more. Merck, helping make hair loss history.
What sets some people apart gives them the confidence to succeed on their own terms. It's no secret, it's the Wall Street Journal. Now you can have that confidence delivered for 13 weeks at just $36.75, just 57 cents a day. That's a 25% savings off our regular rate, which makes now a great time to try this limited time offer. Call now, 800-443-1900. That's 800-443-1900 for the Wall Street Journal.
This is ESPN Classic.
Spit out.
We now return to SportsCenter Flashback on ESPN Classic.
They wound up at a resort called Treasure Island, where there's a big NFL party. And at a table, Jimmy was at the head and presiding. Much alcohol had been consumed.
All this over a 2-point conversion?
Hardly. All this because Cowboys coach Jimmy Johnson abruptly left the owners' meetings and was notably absent from the morning coach's breakfast and photo. Johnson told the Dallas Morning News he was reassessing his future with the Cowboys following comments Jones made late Monday night suggesting he might fire his coach.
The night before, on an off-the-record basis, I basically, which is something that I do quite often, tossed a lot of things around regarding the Cowboys, the league, the NFL, and that was one of them, but that wasn't given any serious consideration on my part.
What may have gotten Johnson's craw was that Jones even mentioned a possible successor, Barry Switzer, a rival from Jimmy's college days at Oklahoma State. Jerry's comments stem from an instance earlier Monday evening at an NFL function at Pleasure Island.
I proposed a toast to about a group of 5 or 6 people, 5 of which had Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl rings, to kind of toast job well done.
Jimmy wouldn't participate, and everybody is just stunned by this, and it's a very awkward moment, and nobody will lift a glass because the guy at the head of the table, Jimmy Johnson, won't lift his glass. So Jerry tried again and reposed the toast, lifted his glass and took a swig. Nobody moved. and Jerry's face, it was explained to me, turned about 5 shades of angry red, not embarrassed, but angry red, and he uttered a curse to the table, basically, screw all of you, wheeled, and stormed out.
2 hours after the bad toast at the NFL function, I was with another colleague, Rick Goslin, and sat with Jerry in the hotel lobby bar for about 3 hours and listened to him rant about the kind of person he thought Jimmy had become, which was selfish and insecure, and Jerry really felt he had been betrayed. And Jerry's anger was very real.
The two principals didn't talk Wednesday, but they did speak Tuesday, shortly before Johnson decided to leave.
When I visited with Jimmy, I stepped out of a meeting real quick. It wasn't a long meeting. He just basically said, I've heard some rumors, and I said, you're still the coach of the Cowboys. Talked about the circumstances very briefly and went on, and I'm not that concerned about it.
Did you get a feeling that he was concerned yesterday?
Basically, initially, because there'd been a lot of rumors and a lot of innuendos, certainly to the extent that he was concerned, I certainly said to him that he's certainly the coach of the Cowboys.
After leaving the owners' meetings, Johnson went to his Miami yacht to assess the messy mix-up. He returned to Dallas a few days later, still seething at his Cowboy boss.
I don't accept that he was drunk and made comments, because a few hours later he made the same derogatory comments to his business associate Mike McCoy. As far as this smokescreen that it was off the record, I mean, does that mean that you don't have to tell the truth? Does that mean that you're going to lie? And besides off the record, there were men and women around that were not reporters, and how did they take off the record? The reason I came to the Cowboys is I wanted to be able to control personnel. And so I did not change that responsibility last summer. I read where all of that has taken place. Evidently, again, he must have said that off the record, because it's something that's not true.
Next, Johnson and Jones bunker down to work out the impasse.
I'm not going to resign without a job and without compensation.
It's an unsafe condition, it's an unsafe situation. You don't know who he's bringing in. You don't know what this guy's like. You don't know if you don't know him before. You don't know if he got along with him. You don't know what system he's bringing in. Maybe he's a Chuck Knox, ground Chuck.
Relax your body. Free your mind. And soothe your spirit. Enter your own quiet world. Presenting Quiet Moods, your escape to a relaxing world. Quiet Moods, the most beautiful music ever recorded. Quiet Moods, more than 3 full hours of music.
Home with ESPN Full Court, the ultimate college basketball package no die-hard hoops fan can live without. With over 450 college basketball games, you'll get to watch your favorite teams and conferences, no matter where you live. ESPN Full Court, only on pay-per-view. It's maximum college basketball. To order, call your cable company, DirecTV, or Dish Network.
We now return to SportsCenter Flashback on ESPN Classic.
No, I'm behind Jimmy 100%. I'm supporting Jimmy. I don't care what the situation is. Fire Jimmy, fire me too.
Our night begins with pro football's version of the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Yeah, all we need is Richard Dawson. We have the family feud going on in Big D. Tonight, as far as we know, Jimmy Johnson is still the coach of the Cowboys. That may change in the next 24 hours. A long meeting today between owner and coach will lead to a second meeting and maybe a divorce tomorrow. Pam Oliver on the Jimmy Jerry Watch at Valley Ranch.
Now he's talking about firing me.
It's the best little soap opera in Texas. The tongues around here are wagging.
See, I think Jerry Jones is being a total idiot.
Jerry and Jimmy, owner and coach, enemies in what amounts to a bitter power struggle between men of huge egos fighting for control over the team they share. Jones and Johnson spent 2.5 hours trying to work out their most serious and most public dispute to date. The two emerged with no definitive word about Johnson's future.
It was a real addressing of the past together, every aspect of our relationship and how we've worked together in the past, positives as well as negatives.
And kind of been candid about our feelings over the last 5 years, and nothing was resolved. And we're going to get back tomorrow and talk about where we go from here.
This all started when Jones muttered something about firing Johnson after drinking the night away at the recent owners' meetings in Orlando. He even named former Oklahoma University coach Barry Switzer as a possible replacement. Jerry later backed off, but by then, Jimmy was steamed.
I told him I would not resign. I had an opportunity to get another job. I'm not going to resign without a job and without compensation.
No matter what spin Jones and Johnson try to put on this soap opera, their obvious disdain for each other is of growing concern to the players. Troy Aikman met with both men, but refrained from the role of mediator.
We're talking about two very intelligent adults, and I think that they can, solve their own problems. That's not my intentions to try to save the organization.
An organization built by two determined men who seem determined to bring it down, or each other, in the process. In Dallas, Pam Oliver, ESPN.
You know what surprises me? Given the already tense circumstances, very public nature of this, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reported Sunday Jerry was quoted as saying, "I have a mental list of replacements." You'd think that he'd pull back a little bit at this point. We'll wait and see what happens tomorrow, and of course let you know here on SportsCenter.
Was that another one of those off the record?
Yes.
The most provocative thing he said was he diminished what Jimmy had done in winning 2 Super Bowls with the Cowboys back-to-back by saying he thought 500 guys could coach the Cowboys and win the Super Bowl with the talent Jerry had assembled.
Next on ESPN Classics SportsCenter Flashback, it's Doomsday in Dallas. Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones sever the cord.
We've gone through a little transition here, well, maybe it's a big transition.
I'm Gil Sayers, and you're watching ESPN Classic, and I love ESPN Classic.
Dandruff, scratching, itching. Introducing new Neutrogena T-Gel Stubborn Itch Control with cooling menthol you feel on contact. Unlike self-control, it works. Ask any dermatologist.
Sam Adams. It's what's inside.
Paying bills has been difficult since my husband got hurt. Bill collectors called day and night. We thought of bankruptcy, but then a friend told us about Garden State.
Garden State is a nonprofit agency that works with your creditors to make an affordable payment plan for all your bills.
After speaking with our counselor, we saved thousands of dollars in interest. Thank you, Garden State.
Get your bills together and call now for your free consultation. We can help you get out of debt. Call 1-800-99-BILLS.
And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
I don't think we'll be hearing that line coming from Jimmy Johnson anytime soon, Mike. The team, the owner, the coach, the end. Off-the-record comments have brought about an on-the-record split. Tonight, Jerry Jones is searching for a new head coach. Jimmy Johnson is searching for a new job. As Pam Oliver reports, boys will be boys, but not these boys.
Jimmy Johnson's grimace after round 2 of meetings with Jerry Jones reflected the news to come.
In order for them to go on from here, we have mutually decided that I would no longer be the head football coach with the Dallas Cowboys. This isn't something that has been just frivolously thought about. This isn't something that we've talked a couple hours on. We have analyzed this from stem to stern.
They say the feeling is mutual that Johnson should move on. But Jimmy and Jerry insist it isn't bad blood that's driving them apart, or Jones's recent threat to fire Johnson, or even a case of egomania gone wild.
There are no negatives when you really look at it. But we'd take all the positives of that and maybe take it on into something that in our judgment and in our instincts, we didn't think was going to be what's in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys.
That Jones and Johnson can say this is a positive thing is probably more than most people interested in or associated with the Cowboys can stomach. Many may see this as a shift in America's team about as subtle as a California earthquake.
It was a positive thing in that, you know, we were able to open up with one another and go from here. And I truly believe this. I truly believe that the Dallas Cowboys will be a stronger organization and better because of that.
And the move is also very good for Johnson. He's away from Jones, out of his contractual commitment to the organization, free to look elsewhere, and removed from the pressure that comes with enormous success. Replacements? Well, Jones wouldn't say, although he does have what he considers a mental list of candidates. As for Jimmy, he says there are no regrets, just joy at the thought of getting out.
We've gone through a little transition here. Well, maybe it's a big transition, but hey, the Dallas Cowboys will be right on top.
Those were two of the best acting performances I've seen in a long time. You'd never know that these two were splitting from one another.
He pulled the trigger on Jimmy when Jimmy, I think, least expected it, because he's thinking, I'm the two-time Super Bowl coach, and I'm Jimmy Johnson. I own this town. I own pro football. I'm going to win another couple Super Bowls, and he fires him. The big flashpoint with him was that Jimmy always thought Jerry wanted football credit. That Jerry was trying to step beyond the normal role an owner of a franchise had into coaching. And Jimmy would never give him that satisfaction. Even if Jerry did deserve a little bit, Jimmy was providing not one iota.
I think that Jerry Jones made a huge mistake in forcing Jimmy Johnson out of the organization.
I accept most of the responsibility for that because I think it's my job to be more tolerant.
Had Jimmy Johnson remained on board, I think the Dallas Cowboys would have done things that no other organization in football had ever done. Maybe that would have been 3 in a row or 4 out of 5.
It's unfortunate that it happened. Rather than really look back and say, hey, who's responsible and why did this have to happen, I'm just fortunate and thankful for the fact that we were able to get 2 Super Bowls out of it before it ended.
Let's play a little bit of what next, starting with Jimmy Johnson.
Well, I think you look to Florida, the Miami Dolphins. Don Shula has 1 year left on his contract. That would certainly be the place where Jimmy Johnson would like to coach. They have a new owner, Wayne Huizenga. Let's see what happens a year down the road. He replaced Tom Landry in Dallas. Why not Don Shula in Miami?
Next, Barry Switzer takes over, and Michael Irvin melts.
Mike, can we talk to you for a second? No! And you can't come in here because I'm getting you. Champ, stay out. All y'all, stay your asses out. Let's go. I'm bringing y'all room over. Let's go. Hey, I think I'm playing with y'all and stuff.
This is Propecia, a pill that might interest you. Talk to your doctor.
Oh, Fear made 2 big saves and it's off the post. Oh.
Hi, I'm Grant Fuhr, and you're watching ESPN Classic.
Unlike most cheerleaders, I follow the sports that I cheer for. And that's why I read ESPN, the magazine. ESPN, the magazine, is the magazine for sports nuts, like me.
It's an unsafe conditions, unsafe situation. You don't know who he's bringing in. You don't know what this guy's like. You don't know if you don't know him before. You don't know if he got along with him. You don't know what system he's bringing in. Maybe he's a Chuck Knox, ground Chuck. You don't know. We don't know.
A day after Johnson stepped down, it was the bootlegger's boy, Barry Switzer, who was hired, not ground Chuck, as in Chuck Knox.
Nothing's going to change, Cowboy fans. Get ready to watch the Dallas Cowboys be the best in the NFL. We got a job to do, and we're going to do it, baby!
The move wasn't received warmly by Cowboys players, judging from Michael Irvin's unwillingness to even address it.
All y'all, stay your asses out. Let's go out. I'm bringing the locker room over here. Let's go. Hey, you gonna play with y'all or something? Hey, get your ass back.
Switzer led the Cowboys to a 12-4 record and to the NFC title game in his first season. A year later, the Cowboys became the first team in NFL history to win 3 Super Bowls in a 4-year period.
I want to tell you, we did it our way, baby. We did it. We did it. We did it.
After spending 2 seasons as a television analyst, Johnson, the man who succeeded one legend in Tom Landry, would follow another icon, replacing Don Shula at Miami, where Johnson would get his wish, the coveted dual role of head coach and general manager of the Dolphins. Days before Christmas of 1998, when Johnson's mother passed away, it was Jerry Jones, of all people, who reached out to Jimmy in his time of sorrow.
I'm down, with Daddy at her funeral, and Daddy talked about Jerry sending, just loads and loads of food for all the people that were there, and he was very thoughtful. And I wrote him a note. I said, hey, people don't understand that, hey, you're a special guy, and I appreciate that.
From my perspective and family perspective, it was just the thing to do, and let him know and his family that we were thinking of him. Our relationship does transcend over 30 years. The success that we enjoyed working together for 5 years and getting to go to those Super Bowls, that's very, very positive, and anything that could even approach being negative or sensitive like that is so overwhelmed by the good things that have happened since we've known each other.
Hope you enjoyed this SportsCenter flashback to the Jimmy and Jerry show and their days in Big D. I'm Mike Tirico. Thanks for watching.